The Keshe Foundation, an independent, non-profit, non-religious, space-based organization founded by nuclear engineer Mehran Tavakoli Keshe, is introducing to humanity the science of the universe, plasma science. Keshe Foundation develops universal knowledge and space technologies that provide solutions to major global problems, revolutionizing agriculture, health, energy, transportation, materials, and more. The application of plasma science in the form of specially developed plasma reactors and other devices will give humanity the real freedom to travel in deep space. Plasma science exists throughout the whole universe. It is here and it belongs to you. Our knowledge, research, and development regarding the plasma structure has progressed to the point of enabling everyone to participate in the process. Become a creator and understand the work of the universe for the good of humankind on this planet as well as in space. The use of megravs, nanomaterials, GaNs, liquid plasma, field plasma, and other plasma technologies have come as a new dawn for humanity to progress and work in harmony with the universe. Conventional technology applications are wasteful, damaging, and cause pollution to the planet and all living beings. Plasma science provides solutions and improves existing methods and use of resources in all aspects that touch the lives of all beings. Plasma is defined by the Foundation as an entire content of fields which accumulate and create matter and is not defined by its physical characteristics like ionization or temperature. Also, with plasma science, we understand how we can convert matter back to the fields. Quoting from Mr. Keshe, MGRAV stands for magnetic gravitational, which means plasma absorbs or gives. And every plasma has the both. It has give and it has take. And when they can't find the balance, they distance themselves until they find the balance they can give to the others. That they can receive what they want to receive and give further. Certain atoms and molecules release and absorb magnetic or gravitational fields. Released fields are available to be absorbed by other objects. The Keshe Foundation has developed a way to gather these free-flowing fields from the environment within a resourceful and beneficial new state of transitional matter, which M.T. Keshe named GaNs. The first step of the process of the formation of various basic types of GaNs is nano-coating metals. This is carried out either chemically by etching, steam coating with sodium hydroxide, or thermally by heating, fire coating by gas burner. During either coating process, gaps between outermost layers of atoms are created. The residual coating is often referred to as nano-coating, defined by the structured layers of nanomaterial, which build up during the creation process of the coating. Nano-coated metal in interaction with other various metal plates in a saltwater solution creates MGRAV fields. These fields then attract available elements to form a specific GaNs, which collects and settles at the bottom of the container. This GaNs is formed from independent energized molecules like little suns that can be used in various applications.
The Keshe Foundation is extending an invitation to medical doctors of any practice and speciality to apply to the Foundation's private weekly medical teaching workshop. This includes medical doctors, dentists, and veterinarians. Scientists of the Keshe Foundation developed different types of plasma therapies and cures that utilize advanced, non-invasive plasma technology. The weekly private medical teaching workshop educates doctors to the plasma science behind the therapies, along with the functionality and operation of revolutionary plasma medical devices. The goal of the private teachings is to add plasma health knowledge to the profound knowledge of medical doctors. The weekly class is broadcast live over the internet through a secure private channel every Wednesday from 2 to 5 p.m. Central European Time. Presently, the class is only offered in English. However, you are free to bring a translator to the class. If you can't participate in the live broadcast, you can watch them later at your convenience through a private internet portal. Every patient's case that is discussed in the workshop will be kept anonymous and private. This includes cataloged findings and data gained from the analysis of the patient's health issues. Any medical doctor in the world who wants to participate can do so by sending an email to doctors@spaceshipinstitute.org. In your email, please state your willingness to participate in the medical teaching workshop. If you're planning on bringing a translator to the workshop, please state this in your email as well. After we receive your email, we will contact you with the instructions on how to apply to the workshop. As a part of the application process, applicants who apply, including any translators brought into the workshop, will be required to sign the Keshe Foundation's World Peace Treaty, which can be found at the following web address. All applicants will be required to provide proof of their education and ability to practice medicine, and will also be required to pass an extensive security background check before they are granted access to the teaching workshop. Healthful plasma technology is here, now, the use of which is increasing exponentially on a day-to-day basis on every continent. We encourage you to come and learn about this revolutionary technology. Apply today. The Keshe Foundation is extending an invitation to experienced farmers, agricultural specialists, and researchers to apply to the Foundation's private weekly agriculture teaching workshops. If you fall into one of these categories and are interested in plasma technology integration into agriculture, you're invited to apply. Scientists and agricultural practitioners of the Keshe Foundation continually develop and apply new methods of food and fiber production, soil fertility management, plant and livestock health management, and increased farm productivity using the most advanced plasma technology that is taught at the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute. In the teaching workshop, you'll learn the science of plasma technology and its applications in the field of agriculture for enhanced and equitable global food production while minimizing costs and external inputs. Practicing farmers and Keshe Foundation scientists will demonstrate their application of plasma technology in agriculture and the ensuing results of such applications, thus deepening and enriching learning for all participants in the private teachings. Participants are encouraged to demonstrate their farming practices in the teaching workshop. The private teachings are broadcast in English live over the internet through a secure private channel every Wednesday at 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Central European Time. If necessary, you may bring a translator to the workshop. All applications are required to provide proof of their education and professional qualifications, must pass a security background check, and are required to sign the Keshe Foundation's World Peace Treaty, which can be found at the following web address. Translators that attend must also pass a security check and sign the World Peace Treaty. For details on how to join the private teachings in agriculture, send an email to agriculture@kfssi.org stating that you'd like to participate. Include in the email your education and agricultural experience and reasons for your interest in plasma technology. Applicants will be contacted with further instructions and details on the application process.
Welcome everyone to the 180th Knowledge Seekers Workshop for Thursday, July 13th, 2017. This is a presentation of the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute. And once again, we'll hear from Mr. Keshe of the Keshe Foundation. And I believe he's ready to begin today's workshop. Hello, Mr. Keshe.
Yes, good morning. Good day to you as usual. Wherever you listen to these teachings. It's 180 continuous without any break teaching, totaling of some 250 teachings, which brings us about 1,000 hours of teaching plus other private sites and other workshops. We have done something in the region of 300 to 400 sessions of teaching, 3 hours or whatever. It's about 1,000 to 1,500 hours of teaching of the technology. The total, what it's come to is how we use this technology. How do we apply it when it's needed? Not just because we learned it, we have to apply it to show if it works and if it's the way we want it. In this process of teaching, we have learned a lot from each other. Some of us are more knowledgeable in certain fields, and some of us are beginners and become the knowledgeable in time to come to become teachers. We have in the past more or less 2 weeks relentlessly been teaching, past 8-9 days more or less, on a continuous basis, the process for peace and what we're going to use this knowledge for peace purposes. In this respect, there are a number of announcements we have to make, which is important for us. This goes in where the foundation has been a lot of need for strengthening, and we see Chinese community as one of the sites we have to strengthen. For that reason, I have asked the Chinese supporters who work with us to organize a QQ live just for Chinese community once a month, and then we can see if we can increase the timing if time allows. This means that as we have a large number of Chinese supporters and they have to come to the English to be translated and they don't ask any questions hard to get in, now we allow and we make time for the Chinese community. This means in these sessions, it can be anytime, 3, 4, or 5 hours. It's not really important. The teaching will be directly directed in what is happening in China, in the Chinese laboratories and groups and teaching groups and the workshops. As usual, Charles will be the translator, as he's done most of the translation in past years. And Lisa will be on the other side, and the others which are there. On the other hand, as we said, the spaceship program of the Keshe Foundation for development of space technology again goes as we see the opportunity for us to develop it in the correct way, in a peaceful manner to the Chinese community. This is why we are strengthening that we gather all the Chinese scientists who are working within the foundation to make a space center. One we are establishing in Ghana as we are here, and we are strengthening it. And one will be in China and one in Arizona. So those of you in Chinese community who are strong in the development of the space technology, the process has already started for transfer of knowledge and technology to Chinese community. In time, you will see 3 space centers continuously passing information out. As I said, one from Ghana. Here we will go into the development of the space center, spaceship center. It will be benefit to Africa. One will go into China because there is so much we can gather and knowledge seekers of the Chinese to support the Chinese community. And one goes to Arizona, where we already established the base, and we expand this base very rapidly. The whole process will be, from now on, we use the space technology for application of the peace. Which means we go with what we said, and we have taken this teaching already very far, and we teach very rapidly. The new non-motor, what we call it, without the motor systems are getting taught, which means very soon you will see systems that are literally working exactly as the systems in the universe. You will not see any motors, you will not see any what we call what has been obstruction to space development. This is important for us, and with it we will go ahead and develop this program to the point that we can further organize the what we call the space tests. The spaceship program on its own will take a new shape, because with the motorless reactors as we are developing, the whole space program changes. You are used to dynamic, or what we call a motor-based systems. With these new systems, we rely on an operation of the universal process, as we have seen. As I always said, we don't see any engines and no motors and no jet propulsion on any of the planets like Earth or anywhere else. So now we think the maturity of the knowledge with the Keshe Foundation supporters has reached to the point that now we can implement this. The teaching in a very extensive way we have started in past recent time, and hopefully in the coming week or weeks we will test the non-motor systems. I see a smile on your face. Of course, as you all know, Arman is part of this program, and he will do. We carry on with the development. We have done a demonstration of the system based on understanding of the totality of the concept in past day or two. So now we go into physical production of the systems. This will be a gift, as we said, to the Chinese government, in replacement, as we said, science and knowledge in exchange for peace, space technology in full spaceship program in exchange for peace to the Chinese government. This is what goes to the Chinese, and we promise to do that, and we keep to our word. When we go, we take this with us, and all arrangement has been made to be in that direction. The Spaceship Ghana program is relentless. We will not stop building and supporting the development. And in that process, Ghana Keshe Foundation, as has received massive investments, will go further with, in a way, employing Ghanaian scientists who are interested to develop and be part of the space program. We train Ghanaian space scientists. As we do not need to test, as we have seen and we know. The space program, the spaceship program belongs to Keshe Foundation, the space program belongs to the government. And we have, through our knowledge, a shortcut, very cheap, to bring humanity into space. Now that we have gone for what we call plasmatic lift and motion system, this allows us in totality to force our way with the test even in Arizona. Hopefully the 3 systems, 3 bases will be in operation in the coming time. And this is, in so many ways, the spaceship program belongs to humanity, as is the knowledge of totality of us, and it doesn't belong to any government. Those who think their governments have a space program, we congratulate them. They have advanced enough in the space. Understand. And on the other hand, spaceship program belongs to every man on this planet. Once we do develop in complete process, then we transfer the knowledge to every individuals, because these are dependent on individuals and not nations. As one nation, we don't see any problem in developing these technologies with individuals or organizations and groups. On the other hand, as we have been teaching in the past 2 weeks, literally coming up to what we call 9th, 10th day of the teaching, it becomes more and more clear that the depth of the knowledge needs to be increased. It means we need to understand, we need to know exactly where the system sits, where we can apply these technologies, and how we can apply it safely. In that respect, we are teaching as many as you who come on the line and listen and do, and the ones who would like to take the technology further. What we have been, or what we see, is that we need to clarify as we go in science deeper and deeper the total understanding of collective number of people, because there is a lot of misassumption, a lot of misunderstanding, which we need to clean up before we go into the space technology. Can you please give sound to the second computer, please? In this process, we need to understand the totality. What I would like to do today is, like as we said before, to ask or any question, any ambiguity which you might have, that it needs to be cleared. I was told for the first time a number of people came to understand the difference between the acidic and alkaline in the explanation we did for the Minister of Science and Technology of Ghana. They said it was so simple that they could understand for the first time what the difference is. These, we thought it should be understood during the teaching and during the time we've been developing. These little, what we call adding up, needs to be done. We do not understand what is missing in whose knowledge, where or which group, unless you bring it to us. There is a lot of deep questions to be answered. There is a lot of simple questions to be answered. There is a lot of simple things which has been one plate to the positive, the other plate to the negative. The nano-coated always has to be positive. These don't exist in the universe. God doesn't go and create positive and negative anywhere. The connections has to be by the will of man. You connect it according to what it is done. We see a lot of clockwise, anti-clockwise still going on. These are irrelevant. You have to understand where it takes you and what it causes to take you in that direction. These are all confusions which has been built over time. The right hand turn, left hand turn, right hand flow of the plasma. The plasma, as we said, is very simple. It takes its decision according to the field forces within the environment of where it exists. We don't see anybody going and saying that Venus should have turned the other way and now is going the other way. Who's put where and what did God do with it? All the theories of it got hit by a meteorite and it changed its position of direction. This we understand all is all rubbish. This is the same with all of your work. You decide the system to go right or left according the system follows as it needs to be and the fields you have created. Unless you put a motor in it and you push it, which you go against the grain of the system and you don't achieve what you're looking for. And then you say there is something wrong. There is no right hand, left hand turn. There is no clockwise, anti-clockwise, unless you are looking for something which you specifically are forcing your way to get to that point. So these things has to clear out of the work of the foundation. You feel like connecting the nano-coated to the positive and the other one to negative. It's not matter state anymore. It's the field plasma transfer. This is the thing where I say to the whole structure lives in two confused condition. A new technology, a new understanding with the close of the old and trying to push the old because this is how we did it and it didn't matter left and right. We have seen it in demonstrations, even in the ambassadorial meeting in Rome. We showed a system which can do 220 and 110 at the same time from the same distribution point. Those which you are restricting is you who restricts yourself to it. Plasma takes the condition and the emotion and the direction which it needs to do, where the environment allows it to do. And those people who keep on pushing, it has to be the left-hand turn and it has to be connected this and that, it means they haven't grown out of the matter state condition. And this has to change. We have to understand these things, these little things, now that we're going into this direct plasma space technology, has to be understood by those who made the rules. There are a bunch of rules which was easy to follow that we get people going and it was left behind. We've seen the confusion is created. You create a plasma, you dictate by where and how you push a stronger field, if the plasma is going right or is going left. By the strength ratio, by mass ratio, you dictate. Nothing else. You can put a motor on it, but the system will change itself according to what it needs. And then you say, I don't see any results, because you're actually pushing a motor, but the plasma is going the other way around. If you want to see how a plasma rotates, put your gas, put a dye in your liquid water and see which way the flow goes. And if you can follow the flow of the gas, then you see what it is, which way you're pushing the wrong way and why you're not getting results. These are little things we have to sort out at this point, and it has to be understood. We've seen a lot of people taking side and pushing their way. Anybody takes side on it has to reconsider and see what they misunderstood themselves. If there are any questions which confuses you or has caused a confusion in your understanding part of the technology, please bring it on the table. Let us understand. Then we can explain it in a simple way. As I said, we have transcribed the teaching of last 2 days, 2 days ago, regarding the way we explained the acidic and alkaline, and the alkalineness of the CO2 or gas, which can change the water. And this has pushed directly the world of science, the world of newspapers, even in Ghana, to push the medical application of technology into front. Because now people understand there is something in that water, because now they can test it. Scientists can test it, ministries can test it, and this is what we've been looking for. If you go, you pay $80, $100 or more for system which make the water alkaline. You can do thousands for the system that continuously creates it. Now you can do it with very pennies, few pennies, very, very little. So it shows the technology is correct. Misunderstanding of it, which is causing the problem. We have to understand there is two separate ways in the path of energy. There is two separate ways in the path of science and technology. One is the acidic potential difference and everything else which we connect to the science of matter. And now there is a science of plasma, which covers exactly parallel the same. In some places, it's to our advantage to use one or the other, or in some places, it's to our advantage to use a mixture of one first and the other second, or vice versa. These are important. This, if the Keshe Foundation followers and supporters, those who make things come to understand, then it stops the creation of a lot of problems. We recommend you, and we keep on telling you, those of you who are making nano-coated plates, after you nano-coated the plate, wash the plate, rinse the plate thoroughly before you use it for production of gas. We have emphasized on this in many teachings, and I keep on repeating. If you're going to use the gas material for production of or for the use in any application which could be in touch with the body, with the health or drinking, you have to wash your plates thoroughly. And even what we suggested in some teachings, get yourself very soft citric acid, very few drops into the water, and place the plate in it to neutralize any caustic residue in the material which you carry. And then take it back to the nano body coil to gas production. We have to mark these things very, very carefully. You can add caustic when you're producing gas material, but you have to wash it in a way that is neutralized. We've seen in some teachings, there has been some recommendation that you put even caustic into the what you call gas production. Yes, but you have to make sure the gas after production is washed, is totally clean, and you can test it, that it shows there is no what you call residue of caustic in it, because then it becomes toxic. And that's what you don't want. If you're using it for random things, there's no problem. But if you're using it for a specific health use, you have to wash it thoroughly. These are the points which we need for you to bring up that we can clarify, because we thought you have understood all of it. Those of you who've gone into the production of the GaNs, into the space technology, please try to understand. We let for sometimes for you to test everything possible. Different gases, different combination of gases, alkaline gases, acidic gases. Everything has been done. The direction for the space technology, you can still carry on doing it. There is no harm in it. There is no, we're learning more. I'm sure you're going to bring more on the table. But now we have moved directly into the space condition as it is in space. We don't see any zinc. We don't see any copper. We don't see any aluminium in the center core of the system, celestial systems. We deal with plasma, we deal with hydrogen, we deal with 2 to 4 different sizes of energy containing patterns, proton, neutron, and electrons. There is a very big problem, a massive problem. And I see this more and more. I'm a nuclear physicist. To me, when I do things, is a natural process, because I've been educated to understand a lot of things in the background, in the structure of nuclear materials and nuclear plasma physics. A lot of you are very much in different fields of knowledge and work. And this, when you do, when I do something and I say the way I've done it, because in the background of the knowledge I've gained over time, I take a lot of things into consideration, which you do not do because you are not aware of it. So when we give some instructions in certain ways, especially into the space technology, especially into magravity positioning, follow it unless you are full understanding of the plasma physics and you're a nuclear physicist. This is going to cause a lot of problem for a lot of people if they carry on the way they are doing. This is why one of the reasons a lot of you have not managed to achieve lift and motion. The process was to teach for you to test. It was what we call sandwich testing, for you to understand how gases work, how the others do. Now that we are going into the phase of the space lift and motion, according and in actually parallel in understanding the work of the universe, you come to the point, if you make a slight misunderstanding of totality of what we suggest or be suggested and be done, then you will run into all sorts of problems that you cannot achieve it and say there is something wrong with it. I use all the technologies which is in front of you, has been in front of you, and I produce 400 kilowatts. Now we can produce 1 megawatt in a solid state condition. But to a lot of you, this cannot be done. One of the problems we have had with the power supply is overproduction. Because when we tested it, and we're testing it rigorously, we see we have to increase a dimension in our process in the power feedback. When what we put into the building is too high, what we receive in system is too high. We have to find a step down. The step down is important for us because everything becomes part of the power supply. This is unheard of. This has caused a lot of problem for us. So in a stepping up in the solid state generator, we have a huge problem because I have created a system. A lot of you say, what about the power generator? Power generator is there. You can do it. I can teach you within 2 days. All of you can produce it. But we have a problem with the feedback. In a way, not a feedback, but in a way the power comes into the house. The demand on taking the power is very, very, what you call powerful. And we need to understand how, when we connect a fridge or a freezer to it, is distributed in the house the correct way. We have solved it, but we have to be 100% sure. I have sent the new systems to be tested in a third location. Those of you who are familiar with the work of the foundation, we do not discuss anymore because we've seen a massive hooliganism by what we call the Belgians. We will take steps to cover that side, but now the Keshe Foundation has set up a new procedure. When one of our factories or research centers develops a technology or any system, we send the blueprint to a second position in Keshe Foundation. When the second position developed it, made it, they don't test it. We send it to the third position, another place on this planet, for them, which have had nothing to do with the making of it, to test, run it, and certify it. Then we go back to the original. This is how it's going to be. Therefore, from now on, everything which the Keshe Foundation produces and markets are tested in different locations, built in different locations, and designed in different locations. This is going to be important for us. And it's the same now. We're testing the basis of the power supply. And when it's done, we will take the step to release it. This is needed to be done. This is absolutely essential for us to do, that we can support in every shape or form the production of the new power unit. Many people are asking us, can we have, you have to give us the plasma and the new plasma power units which we developed in Accra. My answer to you is, no way. We've given you so much, you have put nothing back in. And at the same time, you have become reliant to be taken and then do what you like. This is not going to be. We are testing, we're developing, and at the same time, we put into the market what we develop. We have become very, very clever in the way the Keshe Foundation and the name of the foundation has been abused. Those who work on the name of the Keshe Foundation workshops, unless they carry signature of the Keshe Foundation on the logo, should shut down. A lot of people are using our name, especially in Germany, especially in some places in Europe and in South Africa. You have no right to use the name of the Keshe Foundation or my name to promote the works you are doing, which is totally not acceptable to us, for whatever reason. From now on, we will release those who carry insignia are part of the Keshe Foundation work. These are the things which we are shutting down from those who have abused the name of the Keshe Foundation. They use plasma technology and everything else, let them do it. But they cannot use the Keshe Foundation name and create mayhem. We have a huge problem with Keshe Foundation Germany, which has been running. And we have informed them we do not support it unless the things the house has been put in order. Does not matter in what shape or form has been done. There is another one in South Africa. We have to understand. You have to bring the Keshe Foundation work in line with what we do and the way we work. Anyone after 1st of September does not carry the logo which we put for the workshops on the logo, they have nothing to do with Keshe Foundation. They are what we call, they work on their own with their own names and whatever they want to do. The ones which we carry, we support. At the same time, we teach them to teach correctly and do what it is. A lot of people are making a lot of what I call teaching classes, and they're actually teaching very little because they themselves have not understood fully the work of the foundation and how the things has to be done. From 1st of September, if anyone says they use in the teaching or whatever that they are part of the Keshe Foundation, you have to see the logo that we approve it. And in that process, we monitor. If they do not do, we do not guarantee their work. So it's for you. You go there, and as we've seen with some people, they do what they like to teach and what they do because it has to follow. Now we go into the space program. This has to be very, very clear for all of us. Are there any ambiguities in your mind? Does not matter what is said and what is where. Can you give me sound on the screen, please? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, are there any questions? Anyone wants to know anything that clarifies their work?
Hello.
I'm just not seeing, there's no questions in the Q&A right now. And let's see. Looking at the live stream, I don't see any questions there. It's pretty quiet. Let's see. I understand that Paul had his hand up, but he doesn't now, so I'm not sure if he wants to come in or not. I'll promote him and see if he had something to say about that. Surely there are some questions, although you seem to be quite clear about that. As regarding workshops, maybe you could discuss it a little more about the idea of using the Keshe name. I mean, like, can someone in a quote plasma technology workshop where they're not using the Keshe logo, can they mention the Keshe technology, for example, or are they restricted to calling it plasma technology?
It'll be all over, but if you use our name, you have to follow the way we teach. We've seen a lot of misconducts in these teachings by some people, and there's a lot of good work is going on. But those who are, if you see anything wrong in the teachings, report to us immediately. We received a number of complaints about Germany. And this is why we looked, we warned, we gave it space, and we have withdrawn all support from them till they sort their house out. The new German workshop has been set up, and to literally overcome this problem. We see the same in other places like in South Africa and the rest. We see the same problem in the United States. Keshe Foundation workshops has to be what we teach, what we develop, and how we in a way develop the technology together. There are a bunch of people who just have found a way using the name and just creating weekend lectures, which some of it has nothing to do with anything, just to fill time up. You go to these workshops, report back to the foundation, because in a way many people get disappointed if they do not receive or do not come to the point where they came to learn. We're receiving continuously reports from different people, old Keshe supporters, the new ones. They go to the workshops and they come back and say it's excellent, they learned a lot, they've done things. Many people have made MAGRAPH systems and they're making saving in their houses. They are appreciative of what they receive. They are using it for, and they go specifically to learn how to make gases for a specific need they have, be it for their family, be it whatever it is. But we see a very few, what I call people who take it and just run with it. They think just they can use it. And they give references to us. You can see what we teach, go back to Keshe Foundation. These things we want to stop. And it's important for us to be open about it, that these things exist, than coming up somewhere else with somebody else. We have a huge concern with Farhad in Germany. And we explain to him, and if it's not put right, and we have to see how it develops. There's a lot of good work coming from this workshop. but the things which needs to be clarified, corrected, has to be corrected. The same we see in South Africa. I have a huge concern in South African teaching, because they're bringing all sorts of other things into it and they stick it with us, and this cannot be. If you're teaching from other things which have mimicked or come parallel to Keshe Foundation, just to, in a way, add what I call a lot of bunch of rubbish into it, to one or the other, or do a workshop just in their name, and then we'll do a workshop just in Keshe Foundation name. These things has to be cleared up, and we have no problem from now on mentioning and telling who's doing wrong where, and we're prepared to teach you. The teaching workshops, for example, in China will be strengthened. We put a lot of emphasis on Chinese development. We do the same thing with African development. I have asked Alex to look into what we're going to produce as manufacturing base in Nigeria after the Keshe Foundation in Ghana is completed, which is there. As you know, we announced we have put further $2 to $3 million into African factories development before Christmas. And this is part of, if you are in that part of the world, we are coming in to invest. Uganda, we are supporting you, but we're coming to invest as Keshe Foundation for you to be as junior partner, but everything goes under one standard. It's literally franchised. We do the same with South Africa. India is on the radar, but we have to sort India through China. The development of Peru Keshe Foundation, we will invest immensely in Peru in the coming time. This is part. We are not just talking to do. We have the financial backing of it to do it. So our team, we have built what we call manufacturing team. Everything will be franchised in a way. All the nano coating, everything will be pre-packed, delivered. We promised this to do. Now we have put it together. It's getting done. These are the developments which the foundation makes to make sure that we produce and deliver homogeneous system across the world. There are a number of organizations in Singapore, in Taiwan. We will come in as direct investors. We run on a franchise where we give a percentage to the locals to be part of it, but we control everything. That, in a way, everything we research and develop is available to every nation. This is a strength we have, and we're becoming stronger for it. We have opened a headquarter distribution in with the full what we call distribution and sales point. This is part of the acquisition. It's not the acquisition, but it's the merger. We merged two companies together, and with it has come 84 nations. In the coming months, you will see, we'll distribute every product right across the planet, because our partners in this have been in this business for years, and this gives us a lot of strength. This is how you will see development. We try to come into the teaching centers where we see to teach. There is a program of teaching going on, will go in Africa on a radio basis. This is good for us and good for Africa. We teach very, very correctly and directly to all African nations. We need a feedback from you. I know there's a lot of requests from Uganda. We will open in Uganda. You have to bear with us. Your documents has been seen. We come in as what we call as a center for Uganda, and we do all the investments. You can invest with us. We don't have no problem, but will be controlled from the Keshe Foundation headquarters. Any other question?
Yes, Mr. Keshe, there's a number of questions that have come up regarding the washing of the plates that you mentioned earlier. Dimitri asks, if there is white stuff on the plates after rigorous washing, will they be safe to be used for any application? Thank you.
Yes, depends what the white is. If you you don't need to brush it, don't rub your nano coating material because you crush the layers. Most of these things comes off in the first processes of what do you call gas production. If you see something drastically wrong, yes, you look into it. But mainly these things comes from the salt of the what do you call it, the process, because all the caustic is not NaOH. You create some NaCl as well, and so it should not be that much problem. If you see it drastically needs to be brushed, maybe in the small places, brush it off. But even if it is, submerge the water in a citric acid. If you can't get the citric acid nearest to it, you could neutralize it, is orange juice. It does the same. Vinegar, no, vinegar doesn't do that. No, it has to be citric acid. It's different. Any other question?
Yes. Jeanette asks, when you produce GANs from fruits and food, etc., do you collect the aminos as well and use those aminos as the connection when doing patches? Did you hear that, Mr. Kish? Are you there, Mr. Kish? Okay, let's see if we have a connection. Oh, I think it's my connection, perhaps. Something happened here on the audio?
No, you're good, Rick.
Okay. I saw his microphone going, but it wasn't producing sound, so. Okay, we'll wait for a minute and see Mr. Kesh comes back. I'm hearing something. I believe it's Armin, actually. Hello, Armin.
Where is it? Where's your speaker?
Oh.
Okay, we can use Armin's system. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I switched to Armin's system. It seems to be more stable than the others. So when you use, I like your system.
Yeah, some feedback there.
Can you hear me properly?
Yes.
Okay. When you use amino acids, you condition your system, and very much you condition it to air compounds or atmospheric compounds of this planet. Please understand why you're using. Most of the amino acids you use or you might use, it has to have a preferral. What is it preferred to and why?
Hello, Mr. Kesh. I think we lost something.
Yeah, we are back again. We are back
Okay.
online. We're just trying to use Armin's while we were knocked out of the system. So what you have to understand gradually why you use the amino acid or why you use the plasma of the GANs. You have to start educating yourself the reason why and how, and in so many ways what advantages do you have in doing so. For certain developments, the amino acid is good. For certain developments, you don't need this amino acid. For certain cases, you're better off with the use of the GANs within a container. In certain cases, you're better off for the use of the liquid plasma of the GANs. Just because you produce it does not mean you can use it anywhere. Most probably if you use it somewhere and it'll be beneficial, so it works. It worked for you because of the point what you used it for, but with the way you produced it. And this is one of the problems with the application of this technology. You have to be educated in what you really want to do with it. Just because I have a GaNs of zinc oxide and then I have the amino acid of zinc oxide does not mean I can use both of them at the same time or one of them in one place or the other. You got to understand the GaNs of the amino acid is a very powerful tool. It's literally is the GaNs you have at the bottom we tell you not to use. Some people use the GaNs for feeding and say I don't eat anything but I just take a touch of the amino acid of the GaNs. This is exactly what we said it should not be done. You got to understand what you are using it for and the purpose of the use. Is it for energy transfer? Is it for elevation of a certain condition? If you know a disease which is based on whatever, and then you can produce the GaNs of its amino acid, and then use the water of it, liquid water of it, it has a huge potential advantage. The problem is Keshe Foundation supporters have not understood the power of this material sitting on the top. A GaNs, a liquid GaNs amino acid, or the amino acid of any material on top is more powerful than the GaNs you made at the bottom. But you have always ignored it. Because you have to understand that amino acid has a connection with the a structure which is sitting underneath. If you make amino acid with sodium or with magnesium salt, it's totally different. But if you have a problem with a certain disease in a certain point, which magnesium salt is backbone of its operation, it's the best thing you can use it for. But so you have to use and look for it. If you have a cartilage damage in a very extensive way, if you make a CO2 and if you make a zinc oxide using magnesium salt, that amino acid can increase the production of the cartilage in a very rapid way, because carries the information transfer. You got to understand the purpose of the cartilage. Why do we have a cartilage? How cartilage come to be in operation in the body of the man? Not just do it because he says so. These are the knowledges which we have gained over years, and then you just come in and you think and run and we do it. And then it says, oh, this happened or that happened. Why do we use the amino acid of magnesium salt with the zinc and a copper produce GaNs in that condition? If you look, bone is a matter state GaNs condition, solidified, with a higher intensity towards hydrogen. If you understand what that means. On the other hand, you have the flesh, which is the red meat, which is your muscle tissue, which has the inclination to the matter state with amino acid of the same thing with higher intensity inclination towards tritium. So now you understand that at the same time, cartilage has no position not to be in a matter state and not to be in the emotional state. It's a connection, boundary connection only for a matter state inside the body of the man, in connecting two different states of the intensity of the fields of a plasma. Then you come to the point to understand that there is a room for a magnesium, because in your brain the connection between the muscle tissue and the physicality of the man is controlled by magnesium. Then you come to understand further, a cartilage is a combination of more or less emotional interaction with a physical dimension. So you need a CO2, but you don't need the copper. You need, in so many ways, no calcium in it too, because magnesium in its position and interaction creates a condition for application and use of what it needs, depending on the conversion of the system itself. So if you produced the system and then you use the amino acid of it, what is it for? You all use only one, and I've mentioned this many times, you all use one type of salt, and then you want to get results. And we said, even if you go into homeopathy, they said there are 12 different types of salt. And then every salinity of these salts, even the ones we know, has a different interaction reaction when is in the presence of the amino acid, because then he has to convert that amino acid to that specific structure cell. So now you understand. People just take and do and add amino acids. This is what I said today. We need to add to the knowledge that is understood. We need to add to the knowledge that you understand what you're doing, not just to do because it's there and you've done. I keep on asking, how many times, how many of you have tried different salts? Nobody, hardly any. But your body has different. You're happy because there's a salt, you know sodium, and you do it. Those of you who handle these things professionally, those of you who expect to see, you just change the salinity of the CO2 or zinc oxide. You can wipe out the cancer in no time. But if you use this NaCl, you might not get a result, because you have not understood the potential and the condition. A cancer cell in the body of the man is not produced just on its own. It means a new salt condition has been created, which brings in solidity. You've seen what you do. When you put a salt, gases are produced and they're attracted. None of people, I've mentioned this many times, even our doctors haven't considered this. They look for something. But if you have a certain salinity in a given environment and you haven't understood it, you cannot fight a headache with antibiotic. And this is exactly what a lot of do. You have to understand. Then it becomes much easier. Now that we are going into the dynamic systems, then for our doctors, it becomes so easy to handle everything. Not only understanding of dynamic system, but understanding the salinity for what it is. There is a full history in the scientific research papers, what salts are where, in which part of the body, in what condition that we see more of. Then you make gas in that salinity. And then the amino acid of it has a very direct effect. This is what we say, the new systems getting produced in Keshe Foundation Austria will cover all these things. So you can literally order, I want such and such amino acid, I want such and such a system for such and such a disease. You get the package, you put it on the system, you create and change the environment within hours, within days.
Hello, Mr. Keshe. Hello. I think we last heard within hours and within days. Sure, Mr. Kesh will be back momentarily.
Just send me a message that we have a problem due to Chinese regulations. Exactly what you said.
We can't
Hello?
hear you, Kish.
Hello. Hello. See the microphone switching.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, hi, Mr. Kesh.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Can you
Hello?
hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Hello.
Hello, yes. So what we understand from these systems is that we need to understand what we are doing. And sometimes discussion rooms like this is the best thing for us, that we understand more. And we need to understand more. And to be able to use the technology in its full capacity and capability, we need to understand more, to bring more knowledge in, to be able to diversify.
Hello. Telephone tag, we
Yes,
call
I'm
it.
here. Can
Hello?
you hear me?
Yes,
Yes, I'm here.
I think there's an
Okay.
echo there.
Do we have an echo?
Armin's microphone is still open.
Arman.
That was better. Now we can't hear you. Hello.
Yes, I said the echo is finished.
Okay, very good.
What's the
Okay. Are you good now?
Yeah. I'm always good. It jumps up.
Yeah.
It says, I feel good. D.
Well, we just learned to segue back in. Where did we leave off in the last statement there?
Yeah, he wanted to know about the amino acid. So we finished with it. Try to diversify. And amino acids are exactly like a gas. You cannot use them, you cannot eat them. You can use this water because it is itself a gas state of matter.
Okay, there's a question that comes up next, which is related. Is there any difference between GANS water and plasma water?
It's the same. We use two different names. We become already very sophisticated. We have two names of one thing. We are falling in the same trap of the other one. I call it the plasma water. Sometimes we call it the GANS water. But that's what it is. Is the purification of the water or filtration of the water using a given GANS, more or less, that water, but you do not consume the GANS of it.
A question, Mr. Cash. The GANS water that we draw off of the jar with the GANS at the bottom, we've been calling that GANS water, but if you put the GANS water on the outside of a container, then the water inside the container is activated as well, and we've been calling that plasma water.
No, we call everything plasma water or GANS water. It's the same.
Oh, very good. So then
we don't put any separation from it because we are not in a matter state anymore. It's the fields of the plasma.
Yes. Very good. in medical devices or in drinking, we have called to drink the water that's taken off of the top with the GANs in it, has a different quality than the water that has the GANs containers on the outside of the jar. Could you distinguish between the two?
Not really. In a way, depends on the positioning. The system or the water is more or less the same. It's just that the lower strength or higher strength. If you want a very high strength gas water, you mix it direct, or like alkalizers, you put it next to it. We are talking about the fields now. We know some materials, for example, absorb a lot of fields. We don't see the same kind of, for example, alkaliness. If we use certain kind of plastic or we use certain kind of ceramics, we see better results. But in totality, not really. It's the field position distance from the source.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Cash, Chad asks, can you ask Mr. Cash, for making GANs, should you rinse the newly created nano copper before they have dried or after?
Well, it's usually preferable when wet coming out, because they drain off, they don't sit. You got to realize when you let it dry, some things can, very nano structure can go in the holes. I know this, and please, and I keep on saying, don't rub your what you call nanomaterial coated with anything. Try to rinse, wash it off. Because we did some tests years ago with the professors in Ghent University, and we noticed when we rub the nanomaterial, one layer gets filled up and the holes, all the holes get filled up. So if you understand that it's a filtering system, it's a gap hole space. So the other materials, for example, can sit within these gaps and they contaminate. Make sure when you, for example, you hang your plates, does not sit at least all the way to the bottom. It sits something like 2-3 centimeters away from the bottom on the mesh. Because then any residual goes to the bottom. You don't get that line on the bottom. The higher temperature, for example, you get with your hot water when you make the gas, it gives you a much deeper, stronger fields, nano-coated system.
How would you suggest that we wash the plates before we put?
Just put it in another. Can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you clearly.
Yeah. Just place them in a water, in a same tank of water. If you have another one, fill it up with the water and some citric acid, and leave it for 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Let it process itself through if there is any, and just wash it up with under the tap. This is what I've done for years. We've never seen any problem. And depends again on how and the way we do. Each one of us does his own way in developing these things. These are little knickknacks we have to clarify. I hope these things, this teaching, especially like this, goes in part that the people can segment it and they can listen to it and do it.
What kind of acid did you say, Mr. Cash?
Citric acid. It's like a lemon juice, isn't it? But it's not lemon juice.
Okay, we have lots more questions.
I was reminded of that. Sorry about that. I was reminded of that by our, what do you call it, chemistry scientist earlier. Ella helps us very much. She understands this field. She's been educated on that, and this is the easiest way to do. Because this is important for those of you who manufacture, and you have a high amount of caustic residue after you're done. In Europe, we pay €1 per liter to dispose of the caustic water. And LSS, the solution is with the one people we sell it to, all they do, they add citric acid to it and they neutralize it. And this comes, as I said, from people who have expertise in the foundation. It comes from them. So if you have any caustic layers left, just do it, because it works, and that's what it makes sure that there is no toxicity condition that might be created.
Can you neutralize with white vinegar?
I don't know. I'm not a chemist. Check it yourself. Go on the internet, see if caustic can be neutralized with vinegar, and let us know. But that's what Armand just said to me, and I said, I don't know, I don't think so.
Yeah, you can use vinegar to neutralize caustic, but it's mixing an acid with a base, so you have to be kind of careful about doing that, because it has to be done carefully.
Thank you very much. That's why I never did chemistry. I never understood how this thing works. Any other question?
We have a number of questions here. Actually, we have a couple of questions on the concept of the electron and proton and neutron. One from the live stream from Sadang. The neutron divides due to its internal or external conditions, or both?
Sometimes one, and sometimes the other, and sometimes both.
Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
That's putting the nuclear physicist hat on, huh? And they say there is no atomic division in Queen Mary College. We've never been trained, so let's see if what we haven't been trained for we can come up with. If you go back to the teaching of yesterday, if I lose a screen, we're going to come back to it. We're trying to keep 2 screens, 3 screens now going. This is the neutron. We know what we've seen, a neutron is a dynamic entity. So if it is a dynamic entity, it has to have a center field force, which holds everything like a string and a spring together. If that central hold, which is what we call the reference point, or what we call the principal field force, is not there, there's nothing to hold. It has to be taken, to be given, to be back. And this is how all this, everything in this universe holds itself to a central field force, which is strong enough that can hold on to total entity within its structure. So you have this central entity, and then you have external field forces, because you understand, being a sun, you radiate. Being a plasma, you radiate. As much as you radiate out, you create a field on the different strength to absorb back in, which means in so many ways you have two process. In this process, if one, there is something very important. If I take this system out, this green part out here, you will understand here, even though there is no matter state field strength which gives it the visibility, accountability, still here there are field forces which are in operation. So this center is continuously giving field as much as taking from its environment. So you're a system inside the system. So if the condition inside the center changes in respect to itself, the system splits. So this system on its own becomes one entity, and the balance goes become the other entity. If the environment in the surrounding changes, you go through the same process again, because now this is weak enough, or a strength has changed, that this cannot hold to the whole entity. It separates itself, and this becomes a new package with a new level. Then you have a condition that the totality in and out between all of them unbalances in respect to the environment, and you get the creation of the electron and the proton. In reality, electron is created out of the fields of the proton, and that's why it has no mass. Its mass is very little, but the strength is very high. This is for the first time we understand in the world of science why electron behaves this way. Because it has no mass. Its mass is very little in what is gathered itself in the center. But on the other hand, it has higher strength mass plasma which is carrying itself. It has not converted to the mass. So electron is by mass lower, but by energy, gravitational magnetic field strength much higher because it comes from the center. This is what I said yesterday. This, as I disclosed, this is the first time ever in the world of science this is discussed this way and so easy to understand. This always has been my biggest problem with my professors in nuclear industry. Why don't we see this? Why don't we understand? Everything has to have a parallel. Now we have the machine, we can see it. So in so many ways, this is what is the reality about the division of the neutron to electron and a proton. And why electron has such a little mass, because in fact it has not converted itself to matter mass plasma gravitational field strength. It still is in a plasma field strength, where the proton is a matter mass division. You want me to eat and speak too? Oh, when it's talking I can eat. Okay, no problem. So this is what it is. This is a new knowledge. Literally what you hear is the first time discussed in the world of science, in the world of nuclear. And we can see it because we have a parallel. We have these dynamic systems which shows the center fields. And these center fields, which are there, is not empty. We don't have a zero. We have so much energy that it goes in the center. Rick, I said keep this for tomorrow. Maybe we can show it now. The dynamic course you said you have found? Or you made it yourself, the video?
Okay, sure. There's 2 videos I can show.
Okay. I can.
And see, okay, I'll get that up here.
So now what you see in a way, maybe yesterday and today, you have received a disclosure, one of the most important things in the world of energy and science and technology in nuclear science. Unfortunately, as I said, we have no nuclear institutes anymore left to teach in a way. But there is one in Ghana. There is one university which teaches nuclear. We've got to go there and teach. And then Ghana become disclosure of the most important discovery in the world of nuclear, which is nucleus. Neutron has a center. Now we understand where the electron comes from.
Mr. Cash, you said the electron comes out of the neutron. It is created from the neutron, is that correct?
It's the center field force is what we call principal matter section of the neutron, which due to the imbalances literally gets ejected.
It's a little hard to see, but you can see in the very center the little ball there. Can you hear me, Mr. Cash?
Yes, I can see you as well. What are you trying to show us, please?
There's a tiny little bubble in the center of this rotating sphere. This is from Jack Hanlick, one of the students in the KFSSI. You see it stopped there. There's a tiny bubble in the very center of the rotating sphere. Is that the concept that you're after? I have another video. I have another video that's better, perhaps. Let me show the one that I put together today, actually. Just a second here.
Is this a plasma cookery class? I'll show you what I made earlier.
Okay, this one's a little longer. It's a few minutes, but you can interrupt if you like, or I'll just continue to play it. Let me make it a little larger so we can see it better. And okay, so let me just set it up a bit here. This is a sphere set up on a lathe, actually, and I can control the speed of the lathe. And the sphere is full of GANS water with a tiny bit of CO2 GANS material in there, very little. It's mainly just the GANS water, or plasma water. And you'll see a tiny bubble here, and that's what the subject of this video is. So watch for the tiny bubble in the middle.
That is a perfect what we see. Because you have very little GANs, this is the problem. Because you have a very little GANs, you have a little bottle. You can stop it now if you want. if you would have increased the amount of GaNs in it, the bubble would have been bigger, because now the fields of the GaNs will pull it apart. If you look at the videos, if you can find them, where there was more GaNs in the system, the bubble in the center becomes much bigger. But it's exactly what we wanted to show. And that's beautiful. Thanks very much, Rick. So we see that bubble, if you look at it, sits in the center of a proton. If you can, you enlarge the picture, please? This bubble is literally, if you look at it, is the proton. It carries all the energy, and the other big
Can you still hear Mr. Kim? Are we good there now? Hello?
Yes, can you hear me now?
Yes, thank you.
Yes, okay. My other screen, the microphone, the speaker is on, but the microphone has not been switched on. Oh, yeah, okay, you shouldn't have that anymore. Just 1 second till we go on the screen. It's just loading up. Disappear, doesn't matter. Okay, if you go on the larger screen of this, if you look at it, the ball itself is the ball itself is the proton. That little bubble is the electron. And when the balance is changed, then you have the separation. Depends what happens in the glass. Let's say we create a heat outside the glass and the glass breaks up, but it goes in a bigger glass. So the proton becomes the bigger content, and that bubble, now because it's a field dependent, when it goes on in a way, then it becomes itself. If you look at it, I can do it this way, is that this bubble will become the electron, and the rest of the content of this bubble becomes the proton. Because this itself is field dependent, immediately in respect to the others creates its own field. So it creates its own center where the new proton has the same. And then this proton goes through the same process and the same thing. Then this divides and this becomes a mass on the other side. This is even how the universes divide. So this is for the first time we explain this, because it's time the knowledge is mature enough, we can break to the next step. If you increase the GaNs material, then a little bit of CO2, you see the size of this bubble increases. So the size of the bubble is dependent on the field hold strength of the glass, of the plasmatic magnetic field quantity of the GaNs. And in so many ways, at a minute level, because even inside the proton, there is a GaNs structure material, then it's connected to central gravitational field force of the universe, the way we have explained before, through the spinal of the plasma field. This disclosure today and yesterday when we made it is, as I said, a major breakthrough. It's the first time we understand even what the proton, how the proton is created and how the electron created out of what we call the neutron. So in the time to come, this little electron has and creates its own center. This proton creates its own center. And in the time, they divide again. What we see in the atomic nucleus structure, where we call it electron and a proton or a neutron, these are all division of each other. A neutron converts to an electron and a proton by division when the pressures inside the nucleus changes.
then we understand the electron which is created out of the what you call neutron, and a proton which is all created out of the neutron. They themselves go into the secondary and thirdary divisions, and the structure stays the same. This is why an element can stay for a long time, because on the run of the time, by absorbing energy from the other protons within the environment of the nucleus, there is enough energy gained that the proton again becomes a neutron. Interatomic fusion of the energies. This is the first time we disclose this, because we see this clearly in the nuclear reactors. We never knew. If you ask any nuclear physicist what happens, then you get a division. In most of the time, the energy, the extra electrons, extra neutrons, in going into a division themselves to become new electrons, then the protons, by the energy released from the division of the neutron, create a new neutron, because it absorbs enough energy from the continuous division that the cycle creates its own neutron. Can I share a screen, please? In plasma physics, in nuclear physics, we have never understood this principle. This phenomena is exactly what happens. We always say we have an electron and a proton and a neutron. But in the process of neutron converting to a proton and electron, can you see the screen? Okay, so when you have this neutron which divides into a proton and an electron, then this proton itself now, because of the division of the neutron, receives energies plus the energy from the environment that elevates itself to a neutron. And then now you have a proton where there is another extra neutron. This is how even hydrogen goes from deuterium to tritium in most cases, because it absorbs energy. It absorbs energy which, in so many ways, a neutron is added out of the energy balance of the environment where you already had a neutron and a proton running. If you understand this process in space technology, you can create any kind of hydrogen from the same setup. I explained this yesterday with the division of the protons and number of the neutrons. So in so many ways, in the heavy mass elements, the conversion of the proton due to the absorption of the radiation from all the neutrons and electrons, whatever they divide, and the protons, creates new neutrons. There is no other option. So in that process, we continuously produce neutron out of proton and proton out of neutron. And in that process, using and what we extract from the environment, we keep the stability. It's not that you put an electron in there from the beginning of the time, 1 million years ago, it's still the same proton. No, the plasma continues this dynamic state. Is not a solid state. It absorbs energy, and this conversion of the neutron to proton and proton to neutron is continuous and absorbs the energy which comes in. You have to understand the totality. We say on Earth, the gravitational magnetic field of the Earth from gravitational magnetic field of the Sun creates residual fields. On Earth we absorb it, so does the interaction of field of the electrons with the boundaries with other electrons get absorbed energy into the center of the nucleus. Where does it go? Unless adds to these parties inside, which is a proton and electron, neutron. So in any case, we never understood that the proton can go and be elevated to become a neutron, because all it needs is adding energy from outside the way it loses its gains. This is what I explained, the new science of plasma technology we start breaking through, and I start teaching from last week. The science, the physics of today is on the total fallacy which never understood, and it's been built on, and we have accepted it. We only accept one way. We never accept the other way, because then we have to find why. Now we understand why. The world of plasma physics opens up the whole new dimension in the world of science. And we have to understand the correct way, not again fall in the dogmas of before, just steadfast to what it is we've been told. For the first time today, at least you can say you've been present when it was announced that a proton can become a neutron, and you can see it very easily with an explanation. As the same as you can understand, a neutron divides itself to proton and electron out of the center mass, center plasmatic field of the same thing. Now for the first time we understand where the proton comes, where the electron comes from neutron. These have been the ambiguity which has been sitting with the old matter physics. In plasma physics we see it, we can do it. We just see it in a very simple way. What is your qualification, Rick?
Sorry, my qualifications? Is that what you said, Mr. Kesh? Hello, you still there? Can't hear you. I think he said qualification.
Rick, can you hear me?
Yes, hello.
I said, what is your qualification?
My qualifications, you mean education-wise and so on?
Education-wise, yeah.
Well, I made it through 2 years of engineering, mechanical engineering in university at General Motors Institute in Flint, Michigan.
You're not Einstein by any chance, are you?
And nowhere near that. That's
but you are past it, because for the first time you can explain what Einstein never understood. You make a system, you show it. This is the beauty of this technology. We are all Einsteins. We see it, but now we have to understand what we see. This is how knowledge should be. Be able to be understood and to be able to be seen. And it doesn't need an accountant to be given all Nobel Prizes for all the mistakes he made. So we understand for the first time what we are dealing with. For the first time we understand what electron is, what proton is. This is why in the original books I always said the content, I showed it with a bottle of water, that I emptied the bottle of water into 2 cups, a small amount in one and a bigger amount in the other. I said, this is the water. What is going to be into 2 glasses? If the plasma in neutron is a plasma, so should be electron. It's the first time I was told this cannot make sense, because it didn't come with a PhD and 10 years research and 100 million with what do you call it, CERN. The knowledge is so simple that any man can follow. And this is the beauty of it. That little dot will become a electron of the system. That little dot is the beginning of another cycle. So now that the system has lost its central mass or central control plasmatic field, it has to create itself another one to sustain to its structure. So the proton goes to the same. Now it's tighter because what it lost, the surplus has gone, created. Now it can absorb more energy. So in the nucleus, it elevates itself back to neutron to go back to divide back to it. This is how we see long-term life in the solar system, in electrical or in atomic structure. Because it's not that once a neutron divided and one electron came out, you understand how the sun creates. You have your electrons which are continuously rubbing against the fields of the protons and neutrons which are in the nucleus. As a radiation, this is why when we look at the structure of the atom, the fuzzy bit we see, the light, that light comes from the interaction of the plasmatic fields of the electron with the plasmatic field of the proton and neutron, whatever is in the nucleus. It's not just happen to be, it's not a torch inside it or turning on. It comes from the interaction of the same as the light on Earth. So these fields, the lights you see, there are fields that have to be collected somewhere towards the center part of it. And where does it go? It gets absorbed, but what is absorbing, which is a proton, and it just elevates it back to a neutron and it back again. So the cycle goes. An atom, an element can survive and be in the element for thousands of years, 1 million years. Depends how much it can absorb from the environment which creates itself. This is a revolution, and evolution in the world of physics is in word. Now has to become a paper, then published. There's 10 million Nobel Prizes, but it cannot be given to Iranians. Iranians are not clever. What a bullshit. The science of man comes from the pen of the man, his knowledge, from his sense. They can keep all their prizes. Knowledge should be prized. It should be the prize of the man, not a man who killed so many just try to live a dirty name. Ever you become a scientist, to give you a Nobel Prize, just throw it in the bin, because it comes from the blood of hand. We don't need these things to be confirmed. We need to understand that we can use it, and by using it, we can elevate our knowledge. So send this recording to all the scientific world. See how many PhDs will come out of MIT and be in their name. But we disperse the knowledge, and that's what it counts. Today, we have rewritten the whole new chapter in the world of nuclear plasma physics. Now, for the first time, we know what is electron, where it comes from, how it's created, why it's always the same in all the elementary, because it's dependent on the central field force of the universe, which holds in that condition. Now we understand a plasma divides, becomes a proton and electron, but in the interaction of the fields of it, then it can elevate itself back to neutron. Another new knowledge which needs to be understood. Any other question?
Mr. Cash, can you hear me?
Who's speaking?
Chad. This is Chad in Victoria.
Yes.
Can you? This is a really basic question, but I just need to know how many drops of water per drop, or how many cups of water per drop of citric acid?
I do not know. I do not know. You have to ask that. Buy a system which can show you. These are simple systems. When the system changes from being what it is. Is Ella in the background, please?
Thank you.
Just 1 second. We have scientists in there. Ella, are you there, please? Stanley?
Yes, she's here.
Yes, we are here.
Ella, this is your brain thoughts. Can you answer this question, please?
How much of citric acid to put inside?
You can enlighten us. This is your education.
Yes, basically we should.
First of all, can you tell us your education, please? Can you tell us your education level? I know you are very clever. You have a PhD from Keshe Foundation, a master.
Yes, my background is chemical engineering. I am licensed as chemical engineer.
Okay, can you answer this question, please?
For the citric acid, yeah, we should actually calculate to know exactly the concentration of caustic soda that we have, and by calculating we can reach the proper proportion of citric acid that we neutralize, that we don't have residue left inside. But it can be also done very easy with pH paper, and people do by trying at home if they don't want to go in the very theoretical way. So with the pH paper, we can see where we go with the solution.
How do we use the pH paper? What do we have to look for?
You mean the pitch paper that you
Yeah. Basically, we
Do we
probably
still look for that number 7?
Yeah, we need to go very close to 7. Now I'm thinking how much we will go according to the products that we get out of the reaction. But yeah, the goal is to reach close to 7, that we have a solution that is not alkaline, not basic. It's suitable for the environment.
So when it's base, it's becoming toxic.
Yeah, it's harmful for the environment. This is how they classify it.
So if we use the water of the GANs, we can balance it.
Yes.
Okay, can somebody test this for us? We never thought of this. Let's see if it works. We know we use the gas water for increasing, what do you call it, alkalineness. If you add and use a pH paper and add your own what you created out of to use the water of it to see if you can go back and put it back in the caustic box which you created the nanomaterial and become neutral, please tell us, let us know. You save the Keshe Foundation thousands of euros a year, tens of thousands. Yeah. So what we're looking for, can somebody, I'm sure at this moment, what do you call it? A number of people can do this. If you have, and you made the gas water from your plates, take the gas water and put it back in the caustic water which you had and see if it neutralizes it or increases its alkalineness. Then we have solved the problem ourselves. We have 3,000–4,000 liters in the factory in Italy. Anybody would like to test and let us know before we finish the teaching? Do you think it might work this way, Ella?
It might, yeah. Because if you go by calculation, you always need to take in consideration whatever else you have. Because if they have sodium hydroxide or potassium hydroxide, that's different molar mass and so on. So it's easier to just go with the materials they have and with the pH paper and to just do by tries and then to record what they measure.
Okay, we'll know. Is Giovanni in the background in the factory or Giuseppe? Can you test this? Get some of your gas waters and put them in there and see if it neutralizes. You have about 2–3,000 liters of it there.
They're both in listening, yeah?
Okay. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.
You're welcome.
Any other question?
Mr. Keshe, this is Jim speaking.
Is?
It's Jim.
Hi, Jim. How are you?
Very well, yourself?
Not too bad. How's Australia?
Cold at the moment. Well, relatively cold.
It's your winter time.
It's our winter time, yes.
Would
so
you like
cold.
or would you like your gas water to warm up?
We already do that.
Yes,
just a question on what you've explained with the neutron, proton, electron. Does that explain how the field, the nitrogen, converts or changes to the oxygen or the carbon to create amino acids in the atmosphere?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
Exactly, that's spot on. But don't forget, we go through a helium process in one to the other as well. We go from, when you go 12, you're carbon 12. When you go to oxygen 16, you can go through a helium process. On upper atmosphere, we know this from Saturn, a huge amount of helium is created. In some cases, because it's in a plasma state, it's not in a matter state yet, layers of the carbon in interaction with the helium in the plasma condition lead to the plasmatic condition of oxygen, which then they manifest themselves as oxygen when it rains down. As I said, most of the water we receive as rain is continuously comes from the interaction of the upper atmosphere, creation of the hydrogen and carbon, hydrogen and oxygen. And part of it is due to the carbon going through the helium, what they call interplasmatic fusion or amalgamation. In the upper atmosphere, we produce a lot of what I call, it's like an odor, but it's in a crystalline line, and helium tends to be in that line. So it allows the increase, and in some cases, when you have a reverse process where the oxygen in a specific condition loses a helium equivalent of plasma, then it becomes carbon. As a property, field property, not as a matter state. And this is when heavy elements, heavy plasmatic elements come into the cosmos or through the field of the plasma of the solar system and become matter state here on Earth. This is how gold or whatever rains continuously from the upper atmosphere down to the seas and everywhere else, or different materials. You got to understand the process of the amalgamation of the field forces. If I can use the screen, I show you. This is important. Can I share the screen, please? Can you see it? Is the white screen on? I hope we don't lose it.
Yes. Yes, we can see that.
I don't see on mine. I'm a very slow coach. My hands is 1 millimeter from my screen and it doesn't come on.
We're seeing it. At least I am. Yep. Can you see that, Mr. Kish? I guess so. I think we've lost your audio, though, Mr. Kish.
Am I there now? Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
So this is the solid state part of the Earth, and this is the gaseous part in this bracket. This is upper atmosphere, which we get the interaction of the fields of the Earth and the Sun and our cosmos in a way. It's combination of everything. It's not just the plasmatic fields.
Excuse me, Mr. Kish. The screen stopped. We're not seeing your drawing on the screen. It's into a...
We are running back into the same problem again as yesterday.
Yes.
Can you see anything here?
It's like
it was disappearing. That's why it's disappeared. It was going to sleep. It just gave us a warning. Just wait till it comes on. I explained this. I've done this in the creation of the planet, the creation of the solar system. Impartially, this has been explained. I hope one day I finish that book. Let me see if I can join back in. That book is sitting in my pocket. Let me join in if it gives me. So what happens is that let's say certain plasmatic fields which are coming to the planet Earth, and we absorb them. If this plasmatic field is at the strength of certain field strength, let's say silicon, and then it comes, and as it's in the plasmatic condition, it hasn't converted to matter state yet. As it comes towards and gets pulled in by the silicon mass of the planet Earth, in that process, it can amalgamate, let's say, by helium. Now it's not silica anymore. It goes to the next atom up. And then if it was going, the silica strength, let's say, was over Africa. Now by becoming a new material, it lands up in the United States. Because the gravitational field of this matter, the new matter, is United States. So we receive matter from the space of the solar system according to the plasmatic gravitational magnetic field, the strength of the matter state of the entity, or from the inertia part of the body. This is why if you go back in all the teachings, I always said, even in the book 1, Earth is got two components of gravity. One is the gravity due to the central core, and one through the inertia, which is the individual masses of entity. Now that we understand more, now we understand according to the inertial gravitational magnetic field, the plasmatic condition which enters Earth, which is of that strength, is absorbed to that condition. So when we pass an area which the gravitational magnetic field strength is, let's say, of copper, then what comes in at the strength of that copper will get absorbed in that position, in that condition. And this is why when we study geology, we see different layers of different colors, because now this new layer which is created creates a new gravitational magnetic field strength that absorbs a new material which comes from the sky, from the environment of the space of the solar system. And this process, it literally rains material onto the Earth, and then it's the Earth, according to its inertial capacity, which dictates what this material, what it's going to be. The magma has got no say in it, because magma is already a combination of the whole lot. But when it's the inertial gravitational magnetic field, the strength of the, let's say, sand of desert, it becomes added to the sand of the desert. But if in the passage from the upper atmosphere, let's say, absorbs a helium or a carbon, nitrogen, now in that space is not in the matter state, it's in the plasma state. So when it comes, let's say, it becomes gold. The gold gravitational magnetic field, let's say, is over Australia. So it rains on it. But we know, in fact, most of the gold, because of the liquidity of the condition of the seas, land in the sea. Let's say out of 1 ton of gold, 900 kilo lands on the seas in the atomic structure molecular pattern. 100 of it lands on the land. And then it's so dispersed we don't see it. So, as I said, this is a knowledge. I think today is the day of releasing a lot of knowledges. This is the first time I disclose this, but it's in the books, in the book number 4. That this is how we see layers and layers, new layers are added to the body of this planet. We pass through different field strength, and then because we attained inertia due to the outer layers of the mass of the body, we absorb according to the content of the matter which made that inertia conversion of the plasma energy of the solar system and the universe into the matter state of the Earth. This is most of the dust we see on our houses. Most of the dust we see, we carry sort of nowhere. There is no dust, but this is what it is. It's continuously laying upon us. Millions of tons of matter state conversion from plasma rains on Earth. Is the environment of the inertial layers, solid state inertial layers, which dictates what it's going to be.
Hello again, Mr. Kesh. Lost your audio. Okay, we'll just have to bear with it for another minute or so as Mr. Kesh reconnects. Hello?
Is it on the microphone open?
Sorry. I hear you there.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, it's in the background though. I think it's the wrong microphone.
Okay, can I put this on the microphone, please, Arvin? Let me just do it. Just 1 second, please. We're going to be off 1 second. Can you go on it? Okay. Where is this microphone? Can you hear me better now?
Yes.
Yes, okay. I changed the word. I stay with Armin's laptop. That's easier to read. So what we get and what we have is the conversion of the plasma fields of the universe, which gets attracted by the inertia field forces of the planet, and it absorbs layers. We rain continuously matter state plasma, like a rain as we have it in our homes, in our lands. Rains, part of the rain which rains upon us, especially high level clouds, very, very high level clouds, they are not the moisture from the planet Earth, they are partially moisture from the creation of the water, interaction of the hydrogen and oxygen at the upper atmosphere, which become rain. This is part that we have to understand. We know this is correct. If you look, as I explained this before, if you live in dry lands in Arizona or somewhere, and if it rains once a year, and it hasn't rained for a year, just get a hose, go on top of the house and wash your roof and collect all the water at the bottom. Get yourself a magnet and see how much what we call meteorites and that kind of thing you have collected. It's a huge amount. And the rest of what you've collected, as those came from meteorite, comes most of it from the space, outer space, which our planet absorbs. But because we are in the area where it absorbs that given strength, we never consider this that is coming from out of space. Continuously rains upon us. Non-stop. Every breath we take, we absorb something which has just entered the cosmos and then coming to us. Part of our diseases come from these materials conversion. They sit on us. The way it sits on the roof of the house, it sits on your skin. And the energy strength on the point of conversion can be very high. So we understand for the first time how the layering on this planet is created. Is to do with the inertial mass, not with the gravitational magnetic field of the central point. So when it rains, when whatever, the mass absorbs itself. It doesn't come to rain on the desert and land somewhere else. The field forces, when you lock, is overpowering than the winds and that kind of thing. So a desert continuously feeds itself with a mass of itself from the cosmos level energy plasma. If you think it's just the amino acids which you collected, then what about the rest? Science has to be balanced across the knowledge of the man. There it goes under the Nobel Prize. We give it to the guy. They need the money. Any other question?
Mr. Cash, is this the reason that rainwater has a different quality than, say, well water?
Our rainwater, we are at the moment highly polluted, but impartially, if you could pick up a section, tunnel it to the, what they call to the atmosphere, yes. The rainwater is what comes in with the fields of the plasmas. Look at that one.
So if we collect our rainwater in a barrel.
1 second.
Oh, excuse me.
Just 1 second. That is, you know what it is? You can see it. Up there. That's a UFO. That sits right in. It has created that shape there. Okay, carry on. Sorry, I was just seeing something there. If it builds up, I'll show you the picture. I'll put it on live camera. Carry on. Yes, but the thing is, when you have a well, yes. Let me answer you. I heard you. When you have a well water, then the water which has come on the surface washes through all the gravitational magnetic field, filtering the way we do with our ganses to get to the well. Plus, whatever it washes with itself down.
Yes, in our case for agriculture, the the well water then is highly alkaline. If we collect the rainwater, it's a little more acidic and a better balance. Can we then take our rainwater that we use in our collective systems and add CO2 zinc to it and neutralize the pollution?
Yes. Yes, because it's there. It sits in the cloud as a line. I can see it. The There is a research data which we have. It belongs to the Keshe Foundation, and we are building systems on the back of it in the for government work, and in so many ways, yes, you can do that. Scientific data confirms, and I can tell you that much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Keshe, Boniface asks, Mr. Keshe was saying several days ago that if you go back to creating GANs after the current teaching, then it means you are confused. Could he elaborate on that now, please?
I have given it the knowledge of the universe without matter state and what do you call it, tangibility. If you are happy with the donkey, you're quite welcome. We left the donkey behind. You have to understand what knowledge in past 2 weeks has been given in so many different ways. Not only we have passed the Ganser state, not only we have passed the field states, we have come into the cosmetic condition of the field forces, which is anything you can wish for, you can create. The new space reactors which we are trying to build with other motors, you don't see anything in them. You remember, go back to the presentation of the Hanover. I opened the green box with a yellow lid and I said, this is the empty space of the universe. That's we are getting to now after 6, 7 years. Now you understand what I showed then. Now we are filling the systems with this. We now have got to the stage that we can go in that hollow space you've seen in that ball and take the energy from it and make it the energy of new reactors. This is how advanced now we are working into the space reactor. Because any other than that, in the spans of the universe, it'll be converting to something else, and then you're in a big problem, because then it can be dissolved too. I was explaining to Arwen this morning. It's like you were sitting in a car, and suddenly you jump, or in a plane, and suddenly you jump off. There's nothing underneath of you. Arwen said you need a parachute for a space now, but you're gonna land. Because suddenly what you built in the matter level state is not there anymore, because it dissolves in the field strength. But when you work with the mother, with the center, exactly as a center of the neutron, which becomes an electron, then because it's of the same, you can never be bypassed. It's that you've gone to the essence of creation of the creator.
Do we always become a voyager after that point?
We always been a voyager.
We never have a real home as such. Home is where we are.
Any living things in the universe is a gypsy of the universe. You know what the song says? It says, wherever I lay my home, my head is my home. This is the truth about that, the existence in the universe. Any other question, or shall we call it a day? Today was a wonderful teaching. When I teach like this, inspiring, when I enlighten this way, releasing new knowledge. As I said, by the time we get to the 30th, the whole book of the science of the man shall be rewritten, and we are in that day, especially today. The knowledge today about structure of the inner essence of the creation has never been disclosed. Now you understand. Man and the scientists will start working. Thank you very much. I have a mother looking after me. I'm keeps on feeding me different things. Sorry. So the essence of the creation is that now we understand more, and there is nothing wrong to be to learn, to be enlightened. So what see in the future people come, how many more scientists will do research and follow this way when we have systems. The guy said in that time, transcribers, make these as books and release it. We put it in the Keshe Foundation, this, what do you call it, free papers. The teaching of yesterday and today, the transcribing team, which are working very hard, please make it as a hard copy and send it to the webmaster, and we put it up as a free papers. These are the knowledge which has to be transcribed and has to be put on. And then we understand mercy. And then now becomes, because it's written, is not a talk, it stays as a knowledge of the man. Prince, if you can make sure this, or the people who look after transcribers, write the teaching, whatever it's been as a teaching in the past week, make it into a hard copy the way we publish other papers, and write it as the new knowledge released in plasma technology. Then we have a book to work on, and they have people, it's not just the word which is transcribed. And I sign it if you want, as a knowledge seeker. Any other question, or shall we call it a day?
We probably should give you a break here, Mr. Keshe, while you're on a run. But okay, well, maybe we could take another question.
Good morning, Mr. Keshe. Hello.
Yes.
Are you
this is Ralph.
Hi, Ralph.
Hi, Rick. I was wondering, Mr. Keshe, when the when we use the GANs to raise the quality of the water from say acidic to alkaline, does that necessarily mean that it has a hexagonal structure? Is that?
What does it? Can you repeat that, please?
When we use the GANs to raise the quality of the water from let's say acidic to alkaline, does that necessarily mean that it has a hexagonal structure? Because we know that hexagonal water is pure and best quality. Is there a way that we have the you know, in the laboratories, have they tested that?
Where's your source for hexagonal water, Ralph? I never heard of that before, actually.
No, I haven't heard of it. Enlighten us. Let's say we are knowledge seekers now. Come on.
Well, Are
you talking about the clusters of water or crystal structure of water?
Hexagonal water has to do with the structure of the
Rick, can you put hexagonal water on Wikipedia?
The atomic structure. There's
no. Let us see what we find. Because you got to educate us, or we become, as the Indians say, Neem Hakim Khatar Jan. We become half doctors. We become dangerous for life.
There's quite a lot of research done done with it, but I don't have that material with me right now. But you can.
Oh, here I do. Here's the just a minute here while I get this.
Can you share the screen, please?
Yeah, I'm just about to do that. I've got the screen share up. Okay, so this is hexagonal water. Hexagonal water is a term used. Yeah, I'm reading it now. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. It starts out, pardon me? Okay.
Can you read it, please?
Yes, it's unfortunately it starts out saying hexagonal water is a term used in a marketing scam that claims the ability to create a certain configuration of water that is better for the body. The term hexagonal water refers to a cluster of water forming a hexagonal shape that supposedly enhances nutrient absorption, removes metabolic waste, and enhances cellular communication, among other things. Similar to the dihydrogen monoxide hoax, the scam takes advantage of the consumer's limited knowledge of chemistry, physics, and physiology. It goes on to
don't forget we were scammed last week by the minister, so we proved he didn't understand the knowledge. Doesn't mean this is a scam if we don't understand it. So let's read, see maybe we can enlighten it.
Let's see if we can find something here.
Now there is other research going on that may be different than what's in this. This might be just disinformation in the Wikipedia as well. For example,
you see, that's the interesting part for me. Go, stop. The interesting part says nuclear magnetic resonance, NMR, has the ability to measure molecular size and has been recently employed to determine the structure of water inside the body. So,
right. So that's one of the claims, apparently.
Yeah.
Electromagnetic aspect.
Let's see. I'm going to try to find something here.
I like to understand this scam. This scam can make sense some maybe.
I don't think it's a scam.
Yeah, there's other, like there's something called easy water that Guy and I were discussing before the workshop here. And that's another similar claims as what they're discussing here. It's sort of a different form, a different structure of water. And it's found in that case.
No, we have to accept these. Nowadays, we have to. This is a scam for the ignorance of the present matter science. Now we understand more. These cannot be a scam. This has to be understood. It's a scam to. This is a scam to people like Mr. Lorenz because he has nothing to do with making the scam. But scientifically, it makes sense. To me, as a plasma physicist, it makes a lot of sense. Let's explore. Can you do some work on this in the background and come and teach us more? Because this makes a lot of sense.
Okay,
I can see a lot of.
I will.
Please, thank you very much for bringing the knowledge.
Okay, good. Thank you.
We have to look at these things now because as we've seen, we made a fool out of a minister with a simple test of alkalineness. It's just the water. So we have to be open-minded. This to me makes a lot of sense. Maybe I'm 100% wrong. Maybe to be wrong.
There is research in certain directions and some new papers that have come out and so on that water is actually quite a bit more complicated than most of the scientists have given it credit for in the last decades.
Yeah, because they never understood it, and it's easy to make everybody a scam that we can scam everybody we've done up to now. Actually, the scam are the ones who scammed us for long enough. They make a scam out of us that they can carry on scamming people. So we have to look at this. Makes a lot of sense because I tell you, I don't go into it. Let's see what this gentleman comes back with, and anybody else who can team up 2, 3, or 4 of you who know this. And
yeah,
then
that's right. There are several people that have mentioned qualities of water and that they've researched it before.
Make a team in the background and just enlighten us. These scientists have put their life work in it. We have a lot of people say homeopathy is there. I've written a paper. Homeopathy is one of the most correct sciences in the world of medicine. The present medicine has got no match for it. That's why it doesn't work, because then they have no business. Go back and read the papers about homeopathy, the truth about the homeopathy. We understand why. Do some more research and come back. It's beautiful what you brought.
One of my
Please.
sources right now is a book called "The Water Puzzle and the Hexagonal Key." That's by.
No, we give you time, but come with research papers. We understand. We have to look into it. Something is very nice. It makes sense to me what I read.
Yeah, you can make like a PDF, Ralph, or some sort of.
Oh my goodness! I didn't mean to get that involved, but
now you got yourself in a deep end.
Oh,
don't turn up in the Cash Foundation, the knowledge seekers. If you bring your knowledge, you have to teach it. We are very hungry.
Okay.
And this is nice. Maybe us with our work, we can bring credibility to a lot of scientists who their work has been ridiculed by thieves.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much indeed for your time. That was a nice time not to break, Rick. Okay, we call it a day, and then we come back. We've been going for about 2.5, 3 hours. Thank you very much. We'll still see you tomorrow in the teaching of tomorrow. Today's teaching is absolutely historical. From the world of the science and plasma physics, if you understood it, and if you're a matter state and the plasma physicist in CERN, you would have given your life to be here today. Please, transcribers, transcribe this in a correct way. I'll sign it and we publish it as a paper, free for mankind to understand more depth. We are increasing the knowledge on both ends, on the space and macro and the micro on both ends. Now it makes sense and sense more. Thank you very much for that little bubble, I should say, Rick. It was very nice.
It took a while to get it to you, Mr. Kesh, but it's.
Just put some gas, more gas in it, see if the bubble becomes bigger. Yeah, that's what happens. 9 months is needed, so it's just about time. If you can add some more gas into it and see if the size of the bubble increases, it'll be nice.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks very much for today.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And that'll end our teaching for the 180th Knowledge Seekers Workshop for Thursday, July 13th, 2017. As always, thank you everybody for attending. And we'll see you again next week for Knowledge Seekers Workshop, and tomorrow for the Peace, continuing with the Peace Workshop series. And that'll be at 10 a.m. Central European Time on Friday. Okay, thank you, and we'll end the live stream now.